Hey guys, it's Ryan from RD Arts, and today we are setting up a guitar from scratch. Hey guys, so I have what looks like this Jackson kind of Rhodes cutout, I guess. I'm assuming it's not anything super crazy because it doesn't even have the shark inlays on the neck. But a friend of mine gave me this guitar, so it was totally unplayable. And so I ripped everything out of it and figured I'd make a video of starting from scratch on a guitar and see where we go. So let me go ahead and get you in the saddle here, get you up close, and so we'll go ahead and go over everything that we're going to work on today. Hey guys, so we're at the work table, and here's what we got going on. We got our Jackson laid out, and we are going to do just about everything today. We're going to start with wiring, and then we are going to end with doing some hardware. We need a new nut and new tuners, obviously. But we're going to start with these nice zebra pickups from Geiger, and we'll get some wiring going. I got some wiring, and this is actually from Amazon. This is just vintage pushback wire. This is single core, so that means that there's only one wire in here, so you would need to clip two wires for a negative and a positive, and we'll go over that as well. We're going to do a new jack, and we are doing a 500K volume pot. We are not doing a tone pot, and we're also going to do a nice little three-way switch just so you can go back and forth between the neck and the bridge. And then I have a nice Geiger roller bridge that I got, and this is off of a different guitar, but that is a Geiger roller bridge. And also from Geiger we have a very interesting nut. It is a adjustable, I don't know if you can see from the packaging, it's an adjustable nut where the strings are adjustable individually, almost it's very interesting, just a very interesting nut. And then we have some Harley Benton tuners. Now the interesting part with these tuners is the spine on them is backwards, as I didn't read the full item code. They were right-handed underneath, so they were meant to be on a right-handed but upside down guitar. I guess I don't know. But talking to the people over at Benton, they said that the tuners will actually hold backwards. So I guess we'll just put them on backwards. No big deal. All right. So let's go ahead and dig on in, and I'll be right back with you. Okay, guys. So we're going to start with wiring. And this is basically what you're going to need to kind of get through this major step of the whole process here. And this is not going to be a how-to solder class, but I will show you guys kind of what I do to kind of get everything connected properly. And we'll start with basically what each thing is going to do and how it works here. And I'll go ahead and get everything close up to the camera. This is a jack, so a 1/4-inch jack if you've never seen one up close. Basically what happens is you're going to put your jack into here, the tip touches this, and the sleeve of it gets touched by this metal, and it grounds, and all the sound gets put through to your amp. Now, when wiring this up, I've made the mistake a few times of wiring these wrong and not knowing what the heck was going on. So to best describe what you need to do is always remember that the one that is sandwiched is going to be your positive. So it's going to be this guy here. This node here is sandwiched between the two pieces of plastic. And the node that is sitting on the top, that is going to be your negative line. So you're going to want to make two different lines. If you're running like me, the single core, you're going to want two different colors. Somehow you're going to want to signify which wire is which. And then we'll go on to the potentiometer here, and what everybody else calls a pot. or volume knob, whatever you want to call it. Now what we have here, and this is another thing, a lot of people don't tell you how this works unless you Google a layout. Now the best way to describe what this does is basically what we're doing is rolling off signal, right? So at this point, so if I turn the knob all the way this direction here, what we're doing is we are clearing this side from any signal, right? So as I move the pot this direction, the potentiometer this direction, it is clearing and opening up the signal from this node. Now, when wiring these up, the best way to describe it is the middle guy here is going to be the output of the entire thing itself, right? So the potentiometer has an output. It's right here. Now, what we're going to do, since we're not using a tone knob, we're going to take this node here, and I'll show you real quick how we do this. We're going to use this as a ground, and we're going to go ahead and ground this node to the pot here. And then on this node here, we're going to go ahead and send, or well, it's going to receive signal from our toggle switch, and that's why when you turn this up, you're going to receive the signal from the toggle switch, which is receiving signal from your pickups, and that is this is going to, or I'm sorry, this middle guy here is going to get wired to the jack, and it's going to send everything out. And again, I'll go over this, you'll see a picture of it when it's all said and done before I kind of get everything put in, and you'll kind of get an understanding of what's going on again. Next thing we got here is our three-way jack. And real quick, just don't make these more confusing than what they are. There are 3 nodes on them, and you have a ground as well, which is this little side node right here. It kind of is just a metal piece that comes off of the chassis here. Nothing you have to worry about. That now you were just going to use this to kind of ground any kind of wires that are in this area, and you're going to wire this ground is going to get grounded to the potentiometer as well, so that's going to complete the circuit. Now again, let's not make this more confusing than what it is. Let's go ahead and just look at the three-way switch real quick. What do we got here? What do we have here is we have our bottom lug, and it doesn't matter. Whatever side you have it set up is how you're going to wire it, right? So if I flipped it over and had the negative facing me, and I just use this to face up, all I have to do is just wire the neck to this guy, right? So this is the top, this is the bottom. But if I flip it over, I can just make this the top, this the bottom. It doesn't matter how you wire it up, as long as the middle, you remember the middle is always going to be the output. So you're going to send this as your signal, and this is your receiving. Just remember that. Middle is your output, and your top is your receiving. So remember that whatever side you have your top, you want your neck, and whatever side you have as bottom, you want to do is your bridge. And that's how you do a three-way switch on that. Now, when it comes to the pickups, we'll take a look at these pickups here real quick. Now, these are from Geiger. These are really, actually, they sound really good. I have them in another guitar, at least in the neck, and it sounds really good. So I'm really excited to see what both will sound like. Now, what this is, what we're catching here is a 4-way connector switch, okay? And this is generally, what you're going to see when it comes to pickups these days, is some sort of either kind of universal connector, or you're going to see the 4-way connector. And this is generally what you get when it comes to that. So you're going to see some sort of braided wire that's colored, like 2 separate strong colors, like this red and white. You're going to catch one solid color, and then you're going to catch whatever is going to be your ground, which is generally a wire or some sort of bare wire, which is this green guy right here that has the bare wire wrapped around it. Now this is going to be your ground for this pickup. This black wire here is going to be the live wire, so this is going to go to the node, the top node of the toggle switch. Now these two, now if we were going to do some sort of phase switching or split coiling or anything like that, that's what this wire here would be for. This is actually basically, this wire signifies the middle of the pickup, right? That's basically what this wire is going to control, is kind of the mid of the pickup, and that allows you to do any kind of splits, single coil, split coil, kind of, you know, those push-pull knobs if you have one of those on your guitar. But today we are just going to do an old school 2 humbucker, 1 volume, 1 jack, and 1 3-way toggle switch, and that's what we're going to do today. So real quick, I'm going to go ahead and get out my soldering iron, and we're going to go over kind of how to solder real quick. This is going to be just a crash course on soldering, and we'll be right back. Hold on just a second. Okay guys, so when it comes to the soldering aspect of this whole thing, you're going to need, first off, a soldering gun. So the one that I use, and I've actually started to like a lot, I got it off of Amazon, and it is actually made for stuff like this. And here's the box for you so you can get a clear view of everything. But what it is it's a very, like, it's a micro soldering iron basically. And what this is, a much smaller side tip, I guess you say, they call them a flat tip. This is a much smaller flat tip than your general hardware store style soldering iron. Now you can go ahead and run down to Harbor Freight and get one of those, or Home Depot, or wherever you want to go, and you can get a nice stationed soldering iron, and that's totally going to work for you. That's nothing bad, as long as you have what I would say is this tip right here is what you're really going to look for, is that flat tip. You want that chisel tip is another way they call it too. Now another thing you're going to need is when it comes to this is what they call a tip tinner, and basically what this is basically the this is the wire that you use, the solder, but it's kind of in a plate, and what you would do is you're going to dip the tip of your soldering iron in this, and it pre-tins, so basically the solder will flow onto the part and not stay onto the gun. And that's kind of a pain in the butt sometimes when you have cold joints or the gun doesn't want to stay hot for you. That is one thing I will say about this gun in particular, or this iron in particular. It has a sleep mode on it, so it does cool down to like 100 degrees. It's still going to burn you if you touch it, but it's not definitely going to do the damage that a 400 degree iron is going to do. The problem is it likes to sleep even when it's in your hand being in use. Sometimes you'll just be soldering and all of a sudden it just sticks to whatever you're using, and that's no good. So just keep that in mind. But I do recommend getting a micro soldering iron or some sort of mini iron, something where you can actually set the temperature to. That would be really nice. Keep that in mind when buying one of these. And again, with the tip tinner, make sure you get some tip tinner. And for me, in this case, if you get something like this gun, it didn't come with a station, so just get like a dollar store sponge here and use that. So the basic way how you would go about this, and this is your crash course on soldering, first off is what you would do is you'd get this bad boy heated up. Now I'm not going to do this now, but you would get this heated up. You would dip this into your tinner, and I recommend about 425 is what I have this set to, 425 Celsius. I believe that's around the 700 mark, which is super hot. And yeah, it'll definitely get things moving very fast for you. So you would get this hot, dip your tip in the tinner. You would have your sponge be somewhat moist. It doesn't need to be soaked, but just moist, ever so moist. And then what you would do is you would roll the tip tinner off of your sponge, and that what that does is that cleans your tip off. And as you already tell, it's a little bit more shinier just by rolling it on that sponge. I don't know what the magic is, but and then you again, here's what we would do: is you're going to go ahead, and I'll cut up a piece of solder here for you. You're going to need solder just like this. You can get this at Harbor Freight too. This isn't, as long as it's electrical solder and not plumbing solder. That is the big no-no. Make sure this is electrical solder. And honestly, the thinner, the better. I don't really like the big, thick solder. This is pretty thin. This is about the size of maybe a B string, I guess, or a high E. It's pretty thin, but it melts just super fast, so it just goes right. And if you have everything flowing properly, this stuff will just do whatever you want it to do. So, yeah. So what you'll do when soldering, and this is just a crash course in how this works. And I'll just grab the jack so we have an idea what's going on here. You're not actually melting. You're not melting the solder with the gun, right? What we're going to do here, you're going to feed your line through, and this is how I did a few guitars, and this is how it worked for me, is you're going to feed your line through, just nice and easy, and I'll show you when I do it too, just kind of what I'm doing. But what we're going to do is you're going to feed your line through and do the little hook thing, right? So you hook that line at the end, so you can kind of give it a small tug, make sure it's, it's not, it'll come out, right? But give it a little tug. And then what we're going to do is you're going to come up here with the soldering gun, and you're going to just barely tap the node. You're going to hit the node, not the wire. Just touch the node, and just as soon as you get that node touched, start feeding the solder into it. And what you want is a nice shiny kind of glob, not really lumpy, but just a nice shiny white kind of wall of solder in your joint there, and that means that your wire and everything has got to it. Now, before you go doing anything, you do need to pre-tin your wires. So what you would do is you would take some of your solder here after you have cleaned everything and all that. What you would do is you take your solder, get it nice and hot, and you dip a little bit on the tip there, and you would come up to the wire here and just ever so slightly kind of let it kind of pick up, right? You're just going to kind of sweep it across. You can kind of sweep it across the tip there and just kind of ever so gently pick up. And what it'll do, and you're going to twist these cables up so they're nice and straight and all good to go. But what that does is it makes the wire kind of grab onto the flow of solder into the joint. So let's go ahead and get to the job itself, the job at hand, which is soldering. You'll see me kind of do that, and I'll talk to you as I'm doing it a little bit, so you kind of get, again, another idea of kind of how we're going to wire this up, and hopefully you guys can do this at home. So we'll be back in just a little bit. Okay guys, so we have everything set up here, and I'll explain really what's going on. So we have our two sets of wires here. This is our two sets. This is our first set that's going to go from the jack to the volume knob, and this is going to go from the toggle switch to the volume knob, and that will connect the circuit. Both the black lines are going to be the ground, the white and the yellow are going to be my live wires. The yellow is coming from the toggle switch, so it's just a signifier for me, that's all. No other reason for it to be yellow other than that. The wire I have here is just vintage pushback wire. Like I said, it comes, I got it from Amazon. You can just type it in and it says vintage pushback wire, and it comes in a little sack for you. Like $8 or $9 for a couple of rolls of it. Nothing too crazy. So we're going to go ahead and get to work here. First thing we're doing is we're going to wire up the jack. Again, the sandwiched node that is between the two pieces of plastic is going to be your live wire, and then the one that is sitting on top of the plastic, that is going to be your ground wire. I'm going to go ahead and get to work here. We'll fast forward through all the slow parts, and as I talk to you, we'll kind of slow things down for you. Okay? All right. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to tin your wire that we're going to use. And I've already done that. As you can, I don't know if you can see that it's a little bit more shinier, but all I did was I took my soldering iron and I just dipped it in my tip tinner while it was hot, and then I just sat the wire here on top of, just like that, and let it soak up the solder. Now, since this is already tipped, I'll go ahead and show you what I'd like to do, what I like to do here, and we're going to do the hook method. So what we'll do is we're going to take the end of this wire here a little bit, and we'll kind of bend it just a little bit so we have something to kind of go off of. And we'll find the, here we go, that's our hot node right there. And then what we do is we put that wire right through the hole, and we just kind of twist it up, hook it up just like that. And that helps a lot, because then you can just kind of hang the wire, and it's already tinned, right? So you're in good shape. And then you're just going to kind of hang it out and hit it with a soldering iron. So again, this is the live side that's sandwiched between the two pieces of plastic. The other one that's sitting on top of the two pieces of plastic, that's going to be your ground wire. So I'm going to go ahead and get to work, and we'll be back. And what I'm doing is just using my clamp to kind of maneuver the wire. I'm not doing anything in particularly special, just trying to maneuver the wire around so I can get a clean look at it. We'll go ahead and get the soldering iron turned on. Again, 425 is what I usually set mine to. And that's pretty high. It's around the 700 mark in Fahrenheit. Get our solder ready. Get our tip tinner ready. Because this really is so fast sometimes that this shouldn't take very long. Once this hits full temperature, we are in good shape. Alright. And we're going to dip. And you can hear it sizzle. There it is. Nice and fast. I may have underestimated how much solder I'll need, but that's okay. Nothing bad there. Now, I don't know if you can see. I'll try and get this nice, but if you can see, you want that to be nice and shiny, right? There's a nice and shiny. That's a good connection. And you'll know because you can tug this bad boy. It ain't coming off. Right? Now go ahead and get the negative going and we'll get to work. Okay, just tinned up that wire there. That's all I was doing. And now we'll go ahead and get this set up on the negative pole here. That's our jack. We are wired up and ready to go. We're going to go ahead and get to the next piece here real quick, and I'll see you in just a minute. Okay guys, so we're going to do the same thing with the toggle switch here. What we'll do is we'll wire it up. I'm going to go ahead and put the ground wire and go ahead and solder that there, and then I'm going to take the live wire that's going to go to the potentiometer, the volume pot. I want to put that right in the middle. That way we're getting full send of everything all the way through all the time. Now you just want to remember to be tinning your wires. If you don't tin your wires, you could get cold joints, which would mean disconnection, buzzing, even just dead guitar all the way around. So just make sure you're tinning your wires, and that kind of helps you diagnose things later on if things aren't working after you get it all wired up. Yeah, that's my only issue with this gun, is it likes to sleep too much. And the one thing about pushback wire is really nice is it's kind of flexible. It won't just break on you like some wire will, and it doesn't fray so much. It's a lot easier to work with if you're using the single core, just the old pushback wire. And that should be good. Now I'm just kind of moving it around so I can maneuver it off here. Pushing the sleeve down so it covers up the joint a little bit. We're going to go ahead and tin up this wire here after we get heated up. And there's your toggle switch. We'll go ahead and get the rest of the wiring set up here in just a minute. Let me go ahead and get some things going behind the scenes, and we'll be right back. Hey guys, so I have everything mounted up and going over the wiring, just making sure that the wires are going to touch everything, everybody's going to be happy. And I found out that the ground wires to the guitar itself are a little short. They're not going to reach where I want my volume pot to be. And that's because they were probably mounted to the tone pot that was sitting over here. So what I'm going to probably attempt to do is take the longer set of ground wires and just see if I can't get them to ground to the chassis of the toggle switch, and then I'll get the shorter one and probably just do the same thing and just get it here to the front side of it. It looks like that's what I'm going to do. Looks like my switch is probably just going to be an up and down instead of side to side. I like the side to side thing to, you know, kind of flap your hand a little bit. It looks cooler, I guess, but the up and down is totally okay. So we're going to go ahead and get everything kind of set up here. Again, I'll fast forward through the slow parts and talk to you in a few minutes. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to kind of take everything out here, and it looks like I can get most of the internal components done without having too much going on. I can actually just mount the pickups later and get all this plugged in and just go ahead and solder in the pickups. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to take out my jack, take out my potentiometer here. Keep the bolts next to where everybody goes. And what we'll do next is we're going to I'm going to go ahead and get this grounded to itself. So what you would do is you would take a small piece of wire. You know, take a small piece of wire out of that pushback. Take the cloth off of it, probably this long, nothing too big. And you want to basically, you're going to hook the wire into here, just like normal. You're gonna solder it into the hole, and then you're gonna kind of bend it around and then solder it to the back of the pot there. That kind of grounds that side. What that does is that zeroes out your signal, so that way when you turn the knob all the way to this direction here, it actually shuts the signal off. So that's what that does. So we're going ahead and get that started up. You'll see me cutting some wire here, and we'll get that started. Now, a trick to this is you can go ahead and try to bend in a little bit. You can kind of bend in the node to make it kind of touch a little bit. It makes it a little bit easier so you don't have to wrap so much around. Now what I'm going to do is tin the ends of this wire here. Now I know it's small, but we're going to go ahead and tin the end of this tin each end of this wire here, so we get a good flow at least. Now, this will be a little tough. This kind of takes a couple of hands, you know. So just be ready to kind of to breathe. That's all I can tell you, is breathe out when you're ready to do this. Now, as you see, I went ahead and folded that. So it's going to look exactly how you want it. I went ahead and just molded it right to the potentiometer. It should hold for you. And you just go ahead and solder it in like you would normally do any other joint. And then I'll show you how to do a flat real quick. It's a little tough on that one. Now, what you do in a situation where you're going to do a flat, you're going to hold the wire down to the flat area, and then you're going to kind of wipe the solder kind of along the side of the wire, not really melting it from the iron itself. You're melting it with the hot wire. You should end up with something looking sort of like this. Okay, what we'll do next is going ahead and we're just going to wire everything together. I'm going to go ahead and get to work on that, and we'll see you in a bit. Now, I went ahead and pre-tinned both sides of this, so you shouldn't have to... So you don't have to worry about seeing that, but... This other side of this wire's already been pre-tinned. Just give them a little tug every time you want to give it a little tug. And that's my dog snoring, just so we know. If this is in the video, that's Mufasa. Mr. Mufasa. And sometimes I'll snip some of the cloth off just so I can get the handle where this wire is. Sometimes it'll get lost in there and I need to clip off, but all you gotta do is pull some of the cloth up and then just bend it around the top and you'll find where the wire is at. Okay, so what I've gone ahead and done is just kind of pre-wired and pre-tinned the jack wires, and what we're going to do is hook up the jack to the potentiometer, the volume pot, or the volume knob, whatever you want to call it. And we should be in business. What we'll do next is go ahead and get the pickups mounted and get the wires sent through, and we should be ready to do a normal setup here within a little bit of time here. So let's go ahead and get this guy soldered in. Okay guys, so here's what we're looking at. We have the main internals kind of lined up. So we have our jack. This is our ground, which is going to the back of the volume pot. We have our live, which is going into our middle node of our volume pot. We have our toggle switch. We have the live wire here, which is going from the middle to the lug 1. And then we have our ground being grounded to the back of that pot as well. So what we're going to do next is going to go ahead and get the pickups mounted in the guitar. And we will get the wires kind of moving out through the back, and then we'll get these guys mounted inside so we can kind of see where we're at. So let's go ahead and do all that. Okay, so I've gone ahead and mounted everything. We've got the pickups in, set up already, and we have our three-way switch and our volume knob all set up and ready to go. They are mounted and set. All we have to do is get the wiring ready to go for the pickups, and we are wired up and set. So what we're going to do now is we're going to determine what's wire is what, and kind of go from there. I see, again, we do have the 3 wires in here that are grounds for the guitar itself, so that needs to be handled as well. And we will get right to that as soon as I get the pickups mounted, and then we'll be in good wired, and we'll be in good shape. Okay guys, so we're on the home stretch of the wiring here. We're starting on the neck pickup, and all I got to do is we're going to get that little black wire soldered into the toggle switch, and then we're going to get this green wire here, and that is going to go to the back of the volume pot here. Okay. Alright, and there you have it. We've gone ahead and wired everything up. The yellow is just tape. It's taping off the series, these striped connectors for the series, the split coil and whatnot. So just a quick overview of what we have going on here. I did go ahead and I wrapped all 3 of the grounds together from the guitar and just kind of extended them. I basically soldered a wire, this yellow wire here, to it, and that runs all 3 of those grounds, and that's just going to the back of the volume pot just like that. So what I did was I took my jack, my 2 wires went from my jack, the jack goes to the middle lug of the potentiometer and to the back of the volume pot as well, and then we have a line from the left lug to the middle lug of the toggle switch, and then the up and down, the top and bottom lugs are my neck and bridge hot wires for the pickups, and all the grounds are all set back here to the back of the pot. So we're in good shape. And I already plugged it in. The best way to do this is to go ahead and just plug it in. And what we'll do here is we'll get a pick. I'm sorry, we'll get a screwdriver is what we need, something metal. This is what we need right here. And what we'll do is we'll just kind of tap the pickups. Well, we need something in there first, I would imagine. So I'm going to go ahead and take out my wireless here. Should be on. You can tell, see, I don't know if we can hear it. We'll go ahead and plug it in. And with our screwdriver or whatever, we're gonna, there we go. Yeah. We got sound, ladies and gentlemen. So there it is. You've wired a guitar from scratch, right? So now we're on to getting the strings on and getting this thing set up. So the first thing we need to do is we need to get that nut put on to the top of our fretboard, and then we need to get our tuner set up here so we can go ahead and get that going. So let's go ahead. I'll get you back in the saddle and we'll work on that. Okay guys, so the next part of this project, and probably the quickest one, is going to be the nut that we're putting on the fretboard here, and it's going to be quite easy to do because the thing's already made for you, really. Now there are a few things to these Geiger individual saddles that are that you should kind of keep your eye out for. When you are putting these on, I would advise maybe taking out the individual saddles. I know it can get a little bit messy when it comes to tiny parts, but if you get glue in these, it's over. Like if you get glue anywhere in these threads, it's over. They don't move. They just don't move. I've done everything sanded. I mean, I've done everything I can. I've had glue get into that hole, and I was able to turn the stud all the way to just to where the glue was. There was no way of me cleaning it out any better than what I had it. I mean, I could see through it and it still wouldn't go through. So just be aware of how much glue you're using. So I would take out the studs, and then if you're going to use any sort of glue, probably just do little dabs on the corners. And if you're going to get crazy, get just like a dot or so, maybe 1 or 2 dots in between the studs here, and that should help glue this on. Now you're going to need more than just wood glue. You're going to need maybe some kind of Gorilla Glue or some sort of metal glue that is that will attach to these, that will attach itself to this and to the wood itself. So yeah. We'll go ahead and get this set up here, and then we'll install it, and we'll make sure everything works properly and we're in good shape. So first things first, I usually like to test everything out. So I'm going to go ahead and get my precision screwdriver out. Now it doesn't fit. These don't fit like a precision screwdriver. I don't know if you can see the pattern there, but it is a star shape. Although the precision screwdriver set that I have, the flatheads tend to work well with this thing. So I'm going to go ahead and grab one of those real quick. And we're just going to go ahead and turn these, just kind of wake them up a little bit. They are not moving at the moment, so we just want to make sure they're moving. Nice and freely, of course. That's what we're trying to accomplish here. Okay, cool. So they're all free, they're all moved out. So let me go ahead and take all these out, and we'll get right back to you. Okay guys, so the easy part of this is just getting the glue out, and this is what I'm going to use. And the only reason why I'm using this right now is because it has a brush, and I can easily get into the small tiny area here of this nut. I can see just how small, how small those little areas are. We got to get our glue on here, right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just kind of barely paint the back crevice here, this back corner, and then I'm going to probably get a little bit of paint, a little bit of glue in between these studs here a little bit. And then what we'll do is you're going to stick it right here, right on the guitar, just line it up. You know, just what you'll do is you'll feel it out, line it up, and that's what you'll do. Now, what we're going to do first, though, is you want to get some sort of sandpaper or some sort of file. Something with a file with a side profile or something like that. And what we'll do is we're just going to go in here real quick, nice and easy. And we're just going to clear out nothing crazy, not too hard. We're just clearing that gunk off of there. See, and it's already smooth. I didn't even have to do anything. Barely had to move that. And all that does is cleans the debris off and everything else. So I'm going to go ahead and paint some glue on the back of this, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I went ahead and glued this on. I'm sorry I didn't film that. I just got ahead of myself there, but we went ahead and glued that on. And I'll go ahead here and we'll take you out of the saddle real quick so you can get an idea. And it's pretty lined up. There's a little bit of a gap on each side, I felt, so I figured I'd try to even it out and break the center, or kind of break in the middle there. But we are all installed. It's nice, and the glue held. I barely used any. I just got some on the corner, and that's all you really need. Just a little dab will do you, because the strings are going to hold you down, or hold that down when it comes to gluing it. So it'll cure pretty well for you. Okay, we got the nut installed. We've got the little fine tuners in, and there was some tough spots still. I'm assuming that the wood here is kind of stopping the screw from moving any down further on some of these. Not going to be a huge problem. It looks like they go down pretty far, so we may not have an issue with the slot height. So we'll be in good shape there. So let's go ahead and move on to the tuners. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to put on our tuners here, our tuning heads, machine heads, whatever you want to call them. Now again, what I want to point out here is that the spines on these are going the wrong direction. But this is going to make this guitar kind of more unique. All the weird cut off ends and stuff that's been done to this. This is probably the best setup it's ever going to see, to be honest with you. So we got some Harley Benton tuners, and I was told that they will hold tune both ways, so it's not a big deal. The teeth aren't set one way or another. What we'll do is we'll go ahead and fit these, but it looks like, yeah, so it'll be all right. And what we're going to do is we're just going to drill a little hole. We are going to drill a little hole right on the top area there. I don't know if you can tell, but on my guitar here, on the normal side, the screws would be on this side. So we're going to have to screw some holes. Not a big deal. We'll go ahead and get that set up. And, yeah. I'll fast forward everything and talk to you as we go through. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to grab my small drill bit, kind of the smallest guy that I got, really. I don't really need a whole lot because you're only making a pilot hole for a very small screw anyway. So this is what we're going to use here. I don't know if you can see the measurement that's on there. I think that's the measurement there, I think. So what I am going to do, I'm not even going to mark the holes. All I'm going to do is just set it up here, put my drill in, and go. Just make sure you're even and ready to go. I think we'll have to drill that again. We may have to make a mark on that. No, it's all good. We'll get the other one drilled up. I am going to get my marker out though. I thought I'd be able to get away with it, but it looks like they just don't want to sit in there. I think the angle of it would want to sit in there like that, but I think the angle of the head's just not letting me do it. So we'll go ahead and mark where we want to drill holes and pull them out and drill. So what you want to do is when you're putting these in, you just kind of straighten them out. You can see the square where your originals usually are. And now we drill. Alright, now we just go ahead and install them. We have the screws and the sleeves in this little bag here, and we'll go ahead and we'll get that moving. And there it is, folks. We've done it. We put all the parts. We've wired a guitar, put the knobs in. I went ahead and put our black knob onto our volume pot. And our roller bridge is already set up here, ready to go. And I'll get this thing strung up. And we'll get it playing. But I appreciate everybody who watched this. I hope this helped everybody out or helped somebody out. And if you have any other questions, just go ahead and hit me up in the comments. I'll try to put a link to some of the stuff that I have in the description. But if you have any other questions, I could always give you a link to whatever tools you see. And I can send you a link over that way through comments. So anyway, I've been Ryan. This is RD Arts. And you guys have an awesome day.